The Quakers, formerly known as the Religious Society of Friends, arose in 17th century England amid political turmoil, civil war, and deep religious fragmentation. From their earliest beginnings, Quakers articulated a distinctive form of pacifism that combined spiritual inwardness with social engagement. Their commitment to peace was not simply a moral stance, but a defining element of their religious identity, known as the peace testimony. At the heart of Quaker theology is the belief in the inner light, the conviction that every person has direct access to the presence and guidance of God. Because divine truth is accessible inwardly and universally, Quakers rejected rigid hierarchies, sacramental mediation, and coercive authority. This theological vision had profound ethical implications. If every human being bears the divine light, then violence against another person is ultimately violence against God's presence itself. Quaker pacifism therefore rests on a deeply relational moral logic. War, capital punishment, and physical coercion are rejected not only because they cause harm, but because they deny the sacred worth of the person. Early Quakers refused military service, declined to carry weapons, and rejected participation in armed conflict, even when such refusal brought legal penalties or social marginalization. Unlike some pacifist traditions that emphasize separation from society, Quakers increasingly developed a model of engaged pacifism. They believed peace was not merely the absence of violence, but the active pursuit of justice, reconciliation, and social repair. This conviction led Quakers to become prominent in movements for prison reform, abolition of slavery, fair treatment of indigenous peoples, and later, conscientious objection during modern wars. Quaker worship itself reinforces this ethic. The practice of silent meeting cultivates attentiveness, humility, and restraint, virtues directly opposed to the impulsiveness and aggression that fuel violence. Peace, for Quakers, is not only a policy position, but a spiritual discipline, formed through communal discernment and moral patience. The peace testimony also reflects Quaker resistance to nationalism and militarism. Allegiance to God, they argue, must never be subordinated to allegiance to the state. When national interests demand killing, the Quaker response is conscientious refusal. This refusal is not framed as protest alone, but as faithfulness to a higher moral authority. Over time, Quaker pacifism has evolved into a pragmatic moral witness, a consistent rejection of violence paired with sustained efforts to build alternatives. Mediation, conflict resolution, humanitarian aid, and international peace building have become hallmarks of Quaker engagement. In this way, Quakers demonstrate that pacifism can be both principled and practical, grounded in theology yet responsive to social realities. Together, the Anabaptists and the Quakers represent two enduring streams of religious pacifism. Both reject violence as incompatible with faith, yet they model different expressions of that rejection, one emphasizing separation and communal purity, the other emphasizing inward transformation and outward social action. Each, in its own way, insists that peace is not merely an ideal to be admired, but a calling to be lived.